A very good afternoon from Agadir in Morocco on the Atlantic coast. It is Friday the 26th of April. Hope everybody is safe and well wherever you are today. So before we talk about the European outlook and the fact that we may start to warm things up a little bit as we move into next week, may turn a little bit more unsettled and also milder compared to what we've seen over the last week or so. But I want to talk a little bit about Agadir itself. It's quite an interesting location. This one of two major port cities on the Atlantic coast of Morocco, and quite an active port actually for container ships. One departed for Rotterdam yesterday afternoon. There's another that's just departed as well. And we've also got a cruise ship that arrived yesterday from Tenerife. So quite an active port city. It is also the main tourist hotspot in the country of Morocco as well. Look, talking a little bit of earthquake history, there's actually been two major earthquakes in history. In 1731, seen Agadir itself all but destroyed, and then as most recent as 1960, there was, I believe, upwards of 15,000 people killed. The city was yet again pretty much destroyed and rebuilt. Now the current location of Agadir city centre is actually about a mile south of its previous location. So obviously quite a seismic hotspot in this part of the world. Also from a climatic point of view, it also holds the a tie for the highest reliable temperature in Africa itself. Last August there was a reading of 50.4 Celsius recorded in downtown just behind me, and that is a new record. The airport, which is about roughly 24 kilometres to the east of here, back in 2020 recorded a high of 49.5 Celsius. The city centre recording about 47.5 degrees, I think it was. So, but last year and last August, 50.4 was recorded. Now, generally speaking, the climate here in Agadir is fairly mild actually year round, thanks to the presence of the cold waters of the Atlantic here. Despite it being fairly close to the Saharan desert, you've got quite a range in temperature. So roughly 21 Celsius during the winter season, an average daytime maximum, and only 27 actually in the summertime because of onshore winds. But when you do get a wind blowing off the Sahara, you can have multiple days where the temperature actually goes over 40 Celsius. So you've got the extremes of pleasant, mild conditions even in the summertime, but when you reverse the winds, rather than being off the Atlantic and it's more off the Sahara Desert, you can really shoot that temperature up quite dramatically. Rainfall wise, you've basically got on average a few inches per year, so it's a semi-arid climate here on the coast of the Atlantic, and on its wettest year it's recorded over a foot of rain. I think it was the winter between December of 63 into 1964, there was over a foot of rainfall. Now the North Atlantic Oscillation actually plays quite a significant role, especially in rainfall distribution here, because a positive NAO tends to bring drought, and a negative NAO, when you've shoved the jet further south and you've got low pressures tracking further south as well, this place tends to be wetter. But overall, very little in the way of rainfall between May and September, and like a lot of the Mediterranean, its wettest conditions tends to come once you get into the winter months. But quite an interesting place, I must admit. First time in Morocco, first time in Africa, and that actually means that I've ticked off continent number 5, and hopefully in August I'll actually tick off South America, which would make it 6 continents for myself. But yeah, water temperature is not particularly warm, but you've got the cold Canary Current running down this part of the Atlantic Ocean as well, so the waters never tend to be particularly warm here. But yeah, the climate is an interesting one. probably quite comparable to parts of California's coast, I would say, because you can go from like low 20s here, get yourself to the east of town, and you're probably talking about 27, 28, even 30 Celsius. So there's quite a range in temperature depending on your proximity to the Atlantic Ocean. But weather-wise, obviously it's been a cold week. We had seen some snow over high parts of Scotland, even down as far as the North York Moors. We've seen snow in recent days. Temperature well below average for the end of April, but not comparable by any stretch to April of 1981, where we had 15 to 20 centimetres of snowfall in parts of the Midlands. We've had temperatures down as low as -9 at this time of the year. So albeit it's cold at the moment, it is not historic or particularly exceptional for the time of the year. Now, we did see the coldest night of the month so far. I think it was -6.3 at Shap in Cumbria this morning. Daytime maximum struggling to get above 10 Celsius quite widely across the UK actually. Now, as we go through the course of this weekend, we're going to continue with the chilly flavour of weather, and then as we move into next week, looks as if we're going to see more in the way of lower pressure and warmer temperatures. We'll talk more about that as we move into the early portions of next week here. So, going to have weather talk, the new series that I'm delighted to announce tomorrow, and it's going to be a series of interviews with experts both in the weather and scientific community. Also talking a little bit about space weather as well. We're going to have an expert talking as well about that. So I'm delighted to say the first in a series of interviews will begin starting tomorrow. So something for you to look forward to tomorrow. That's Weather Talk, a new series here in Marfilm Weather on YouTube that will be released tomorrow afternoon. And you can see who is the first person up in the interview list when that video is released tomorrow. So we'll talk more about the weather next week. Hope you're enjoying the content here on Marfilm Weather on YouTube. Whether you're new or an existing subscriber, I do greatly appreciate your support. And obviously you've got the May outlook now being released. You've got the Atlantic Hurricane Season forecast released in the last few days as well. Plenty more reason to stick around here. So like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you again next time with more. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Bye for now.